Looking back, I can see there were years where my life was changing before I had language for what was happening. At the time, I thought I was just surviving. Working, pushing, carrying responsibility, trying to hold everything together. And honestly, for a long time, I thought that was maturity. See, I thought strength meant enduring pressure silently. I thought leadership meant carrying everything without letting people see the weight of it. I thought composure meant suppressing my emotions. So, I became functional, reliable, capable, productive. But underneath all of that, I was exhausted in ways I didn't even know yet how to articulate. And when I look back now, I think there were seasons. I know there were seasons where God was refining me long before I understood the purpose of the pressure. At the time, it just felt heavy. But now I can see it. Some of the very things I was resisting were shaping me into someone more grounded, more governed, more honest. I think that's one of the hardest tensions for people who carry responsibility well. Because when you spend enough years surviving, you can start confusing movement with meaning. You think, if I just push harder, move faster, explain yourself better, carry more, eventually peace will arrive on the other side of all your effort. But I've learned something over the years. Peace does not come from constant striving. And sometimes grace looks like being slowed down long enough to become honest. Learning pace may have been one of the hardest lessons for me personally. Because when you spend enough years feeling unheard, you start believing urgency creates safety. You speak quickly. You move quickly. Over-explain, overextend. Try to prove your intentions before anyone questions them. Not because you're weak, but because somewhere along the way, you learned stillness felt dangerous. And yet, I think there are seasons God allows silence because noise would keep us disconnected from ourselves. Stillness reveals things, not to shame us, to reveal us. And I think that's part of what's been happening in my own life. Not becoming someone new, but becoming more honest with who I already am underneath survival mode. More present, more discerning, less reactive. Learning that discernment often sounds quieter than fear. Learning that not every closed door was punishment. Some things were protection. Some things were preparation. And some things were invitations to finally slow down enough to hear God clearly. Before we continue, I want to thank a brand supporting this episode. One thing I've been paying more attention to lately is simplicity. Things that are intentional, yet functional, and well designed without needing to be loud about it. And that's actually what caught my attention about HyperNatural. They created men's polos, tees, and button-ups focused on comfort, clean style, and their hyper-cool jade cooling technology. They were recognized in Men's Journal for one of the best men's health polos in 2024. And honestly, the older I get, the more I appreciate things that feel aligned with presence instead of performance. So, if you want to check them out, they're offering Quiet Maverick listeners an exclusive 20% off using my promo code SIGNAL8 at HyperNaturalStyle.com. That's Signal, the number 8 at HyperNaturalStyle.com. All right, let's continue. You know, when I created Quiet Maverick, I don't think I fully understood yet that I was naming something I had already become. Not perfectly, not completely, but genuinely. Because the truth is, there was a season where I believe strength had to announce itself, where I thought authority needed intensity, and where I thought being respected meant constantly proving your value. Oh, but life has a way of humbling that, especially pressure, especially disappointment, especially seasons where God begins removing your dependence on performance. And at some point, You stop wanting to perform strength and you start wanting peace. Not passive peace, governed peace. The kind of peace that allows you to stay composed while life is testing you. The kind of peace that allows you to think clearly under pressure. The kind of peace that no longer needs constant validation. And honestly, I think that's what many people have actually been hearing underneath these episodes. Not perfection, not performance. Just someone learning how to move with clarity after years of noise. Someone learning that faith doesn't always need to be loud to be real. Episodes like Structure Creates Freedom, Faith Without Performance, and Move at the Pace of Clarity. Those weren't theories for me. Those were discoveries. Lessons I had lived before I could articulate them. And honestly, I'm still being refined by those lessons now. Still learning restraint. Still learning governance. Still learning when silence carries more authority than explanation. Still learning that presence alone can hold weight. Still learning that surrender and weakness are not the same thing. Maybe some of you listening are in that transition right now. You're noticing you don't need to force as much anymore. You're becoming more intentional with your words, your energy, your relationships, your pace. And maybe part of that feels unfamiliar because when you've spent years surviving, peace can almost feel uncomfortable at first. But that doesn't mean you're becoming weaker. It means you're actually becoming governed. It may mean your spirit is finally catching up to a pace your soul can actually sustain. So, here's a Quiet Maverick challenge for you this week. Find one area of your life where urgency has been governing you and intentionally slow it down. Maybe it's your thoughts. Maybe it's your schedule. Maybe it's your reactions. Maybe it's the pressure to constantly explain yourself. But for 1 week, practice moving at the pace of clarity instead of the pace of anxiety. Before responding, pause. Before reacting, breathe. Before forcing an outcome, sit with it and ask yourself, am I moving from peace or from pressure. Because governance begins where reaction ends. And maybe that's the real beginning of becoming a quiet maverick. Not becoming quieter because you have less to say, but becoming quieter because you finally understand the weight of your presence. This is the Quiet Maverick. I'm Gregory Michael. Thank you for walking through this part of the story with me today. I don't take your attention lightly, because where you place your attention is where your life begins to move. If this resonated with you, sit with it. Don't rush past it. And if you know someone else who's learning how to move from survival into governance, share this with them. This is how we keep the signal moving. You can follow me across all platforms at Gregory Michael. And until next time, stay grounded, stay governed, and move at the pace of clarity.